In this video, I'm going to show you how to improve your hand speed. I'm going to show you 3 exercises and drills that you can do just to improve that speed in your hands. And then I'm going to show you actual techniques and concepts that will improve your hand speed for when you're sparring and actually implementing these techniques. So the first exercise to do is shadow box with light dumbbells. So just in your stance and just doing good technique and just focusing on flicking your hands out and bringing them back. So and just doing good technique when you're throwing. Make sure you're using your shoulders and then you're trying to pop your arm back every time you throw a punch. The other thing you can do is actually use a little bit heavier dumbbells. So again, don't go too heavy. You're going to work on your shorter punches. So this one you're going to work on more like shortening your punches and using your shoulders and flicking your elbows to get speed at the start of your punch. So things like this, so I'll throw straight punches like this. I'm going, and then I'll throw like uppercuts and hooks. And then, when you put them down, your hands feel a lot lighter. For when you're throwing, and you're using your shoulders, your lats, and then just flicking your elbows as you throw your punches. So drill number 2 is using a band. So this kind of like, these resistant bands, these power bands are pretty effective. You can use other bands if you want. Again, don't get ones that are too strong where you can't actually flick your hands. So there's 2 ways to wrap this and depending on what you're trying to work on. One is you're going to flick it over underneath your armpit. And then depending on personal preference, you either put it in between your thumb or you can hook it over and kind of just get a grip this way and hold it like that if you feel it's better. So from there, it's under your arm. And this is more so effective for just doing straight punches. So here, you're going to flick them out. But still have some control as it's coming back in. Yes, you want a little bit of control, but you're relaxing your hand and just watch you don't like whip yourself back as you do it. So. And the other way you can hold this band is over the top of your elbows. So you're going to go this way. Get it just below your delt and above your elbows there. So you don't want to go too low or too high. Get a little feel for this one. It feels a little bit clunky to start with, but this one's quite good to get a bit more push through your chest and your shoulders as you throw your punch. And you can also kind of loop your punch a little bit as if you're throwing like a cross that's going a little bit wider. So when you do this one, again, this one's really effective for them shorter punches because when you fully extend your arm, it can kind of flick off. Be slightly shortening your punch. The next drill is using a heavy bag. There's 2 ways I like to use a heavy bag for hand speed. One is to do it bare knuckled or with a hand wrap if you feel like you're going to scratch your knuckles. So what you do in this one is you're trying to hit the bag lightly and focusing on the end of the punch. Right? So when you connect. So this time you're trying to get that connection and then bring your hand back. Kind of like when you see Floyd Mayweather do those kind of like tappy kind of drills. You're trying to focus on the end of the punch where it's bouncing back. Because if you follow through too far in a punch, right, you're going to be slow coming back. So you've got to learn that point where you can snap and bring your hands back. Another tip is to stand side on when you do this. So stand a little bit more bladed. Be careful of being too square and trying to do this and you start arm punching. You want to be side on when you do this. So you learn to rotate your body. Yeah, and then I'm flicking and I'm focusing on the hands coming back. So if you notice the bag's not moving too much because I'm just trying to touch and create a little bit of a snap. You can do hooks as well when you do this. So you just tap, 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 tap in the bag and just getting used to swinging your body around and flicking your hands back as you do so. And the next thing is to do heavy bag work with heavier gloves. So I've got 16-ounce gloves here. So you want to use a little bit heavier gloves to get a bit more weight on your arms now. And then you're pretty much doing the same drill. When you have your gloves on, if you want to put a little bit more power to learn how to put that snap at the end of the punch, you can also do that. So this time, similar drill, just touch them back. Again, stand a little bit side on so you can turn your body, especially on that cross. So then you're building the speed. So if you notice when I'm doing it, the bag's not swinging too much. An old school concept my old boxing coach told me was you kind of imagine this is a wall and you put like a little cloth over it and you're trying to just flick the cloth. Because if you go through the cloth, you're going to break your knuckles by hitting the wall. So you're kind of just trying to just touch the target enough to put a little snap in, and then you're coming back. So you're not wasting energy by following through too far. So now I'm going to go over some technique and concepts to actually make your hand speed faster. Right? So one of the first things is that people make a mistake is they don't use their legs enough. Right? So if you want to punch fast, you need to make sure you're using your legs. You can see me here. You've got to get some rhythm and balance and bounce, and momentum through your feet and legs to then allow your hands to fire faster. If your feet don't move and you're trying to punch really fast, you're using a lot of energy and you're probably not as fast. So you want to gain them extra milliseconds. Yeah, when we're talking about punch speed, we're talking about milliseconds. So here, get some momentum through your feet. Now you can go a little forward, backward kind of bounce, or up and down. And then you're going to get a bit of momentum and you're going to try and time that with your hands as you feel your legs pushing. This is why when you see people doing really fast hand speed stuff, you'll usually see their legs, they look like they're almost running on the floor, things like this. Because it helps you get momentum from your feet, then to your hands, and your arms don't have to work as hard. The next tip is to stay loose. Really important thing, you hear it all the time. So you want to stay loose. You don't want to be tensing your arms and legs when you're throwing punches. You're always slower if you're squeezing everything from start to the end of your strike. What you want to be thinking of is staying loose and just a little bit of tension at the end of your punch. So when you're in a fight, that's what you want to be doing. You want to throw your body loose and then tense near the end of your strike. For hand speed, you want to make sure your hands are loose, your legs are loose, your body's loose, and then you want to be like flicking your punches and then a little squeeze at the end. So if I keep my fingers open, that's a good way to practice it. And then when you've got the technique, you're going to just tense your hands a little bit at the end when you're throwing, so you stay loose. Good way to think about it is try to hit really fast, but try to not try very hard. So you're trying to like hit fast without trying too hard. So when I'm here, I'm trying to stay loose and I'm just yeah, so if you try to hit fast without trying too hard, then when you get that right, then you add a little bit more effort and you get that real rapid speed in your hands. And the third tip is don't telegraph your punches. This one's more important for when you're actually sparring in a live situation. So to not telegraph your punches, it just means don't give a telltale when you're throwing your punches. Even if there's in between a combination, you can actually telegraph punches in between a combination. So if I do it slowly, if I throw a jab, a telegraph jab would be if I'm pulling my arm back and then pushing it out. Pulling my arm back for the cross, then pushing out. So it kind of looks more like this. If I'm like kind of overly swinging my punch. To take away the telegraph, you keep yourself ready, you push through your legs, and then you're just pushing your hands out. Pushing your hands out, and then obviously rotating your body. So it takes off them half seconds or milliseconds at the start of your combination or your punch when you do this. So I throw one hand, comes back, throw the next one, it's coming back, but I don't pull further back than I need to and overdo the punch. Yeah, so you don't want to telegraph the start of your punch. So work on not telegraphing punches to improve your hand speed. So there you have it. 3 drills and then 3 technique and concepts to help you improve your hand speed. If you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any recommendations, please do put it in the comments. I will read the comment section.